Well, there's no music. There is no bumper. There's no nothing. That means I am solo. Welcome to Face Off Hockey Show. I am Scotty Waz. And here we are. All right, we're working live here. That's good. I never know what to do since Hangout has changed all their stuff. I don't know how to work this damn thing anymore. It used to be so simple, but alas, here we are. It's interesting week. All the hockey is over. Everything, all the leagues, Dunsky. We'll get to that in a minute here. Conspicuous by their absence, the Pitanzo brothers of Mark and John. Both of them had matters to deal with, outside of which, it's life being as it is. They had some stuff to deal with, and both of them are away on family matters. Not the one with Urkel and Mr. Winslow, but just life in general. So all the best to them. They will be back for next week. The expansion draft extravaganza, 76 straight hours of coverage of the Face Off Hockey Show and the expansion draft itself, and a lot of things heating up. And when we get Lyle Richardson on here and in a bit, we will be able to go into that in terms of what the buyouts mean and how this thing is all going to pan out, as we are a scant 1 week away before we're unveiled to the new Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, the jerseys and such will be unveiled the day before. We'll get to that in a little bit, as Adidas going all out on their whole thing in terms of what to do, how to do things, and to make sure everything is on the up and up for their new jersey unveil. The D0, the Addy Zero, I think it's called, is what they're marketing as. So we've had the Nike Swift, the Reebok Edge, and now the Addy Zero. I think that's a soccer thing now. That's more of a John question or a Sean Leahy question. But yeah, so we are only a week away from that. Obviously, our coverage begins on Sunday, so there's that to deal with, because obviously he only works in 12-hour intervals. Obviously we'll get started on weeks, and I'm the only one who had a week because I'm the only one here. So not much of a week. Overnights stink. I did get a lot of new stuff though. So eBay has been good to me. Amazon has been even better to me. So eBay, I bought myself some NASCAR swag. I got myself a Jeremy Mayfield 2004 NHL All-Star game, making that whole NASCAR NHL thing be right on the even keel there. But yeah, it was a pretty nice, fun, fantastic time for Amazon or for eBay. Got myself some a new backpack. That's about it. New camcorder that we're going to do some stuff at the draft with. Because it has a better microphone than my Tascam, even though the Tascam would probably be coming in handy here and there. So got all that to go with. And that pretty slow, low key. I mean, the whole ideal of me and moving and everything like that has been we saw a mortgage guy the other day. Saw a mortgage guy. Apparently my credit really good. Don't know how that happens. My credit very good. Good enough, I guess. Good enough. I won't say really good. Good. I don't know what good work credit is these days. Good enough for government work. At least that's what they're telling us. So we got that going for us. Other than that, not really. Just dealing with tornadoes here. I didn't realize how many tornadoes we got here. How many big tornado winds we're able to sneak in here. But yeah, horns going off. It sounds like a club. It's fantastic. I love every minute of it. Loving every minute of it. I'm telling you right now. You live in a place that has no buildings taller than, I don't know, like 7 stories. This is what happens. I think the biggest. It's terrible. It's really weird. I've never lived in a city this small. Even Glen Burnie has big towers, for Christ's sake. This place, not so much. Not so much at all. So let's get to the brass tacks of it all, folks. Hockey's done. Hockey over with. All right. As we sit here, all the leagues are done. Pittsburgh Penguins won in Game 6 on Sunday. say what you will about the Colton Sisson situation, the no goal. Say what you will about Sidney Crosby stealing yet another Conn Smythe trophy. But the Pittsburgh Penguins back-to-back. First time since the Detroit Red Wings in 97 and 98. Obviously, the 98 one with the Esatikin in goal. And you can't hit it open nets. These things happen, and you move on with your life. But alas, here we are. Last night, Tuesday night, the Grand Rapids Griffins, they went ahead and they won the AHL Calder Cup. They went ahead and also celebrated by getting an Uber driver to buy $400 worth of McDonald's. A story out there saying that a Uber driver in the Grand Rapids area was hired, and the players went ahead and took her through McDonald's. Got a lot of nuggets, got a lot of fries, left some of the nuggets and fries in there. There you go. How much better? Why, if you're not a champion, why wouldn't you go to? I mean, even you win a championship, you lose a championship. If I were the Syracuse Crunch, I'd go get some McDonald's too. Get a McFlurry, have fun with that. But yeah, to the victors go the spoils, and the spoils is a lot of 20-piece nugget. And then I believe it was last week or the end of last week, the Colorado Eagles won. The Colorado Eagles swept the God. Who did they play? Season seems so long ago that I am just the South Carolina Stingrays, of course, the Caps affiliate gets slaughtered. 4 games Cobb. And away they go. Now the Eagles, they went ahead. I think they had a 16-4 record in the postseason, which, my God in heaven, that's a pretty good pretty good standings there. So yeah, the South Carolina 12-8, Colorado 16-4. Almost doubling up everybody else in wins in the Western Conference. They almost pulled a faux, but they didn't. Here we are. So that's it. Hockey season's over. We're done. You can just sit down and go away for a bit and go from there. Yeah. We look at all this stuff now. Affiliation changes are taking place. Obviously, people are talking about who the buyouts are going to be, who's going to be, who's going to be on the Vegas Golden Knights, what's going to happen with this Adidas jersey stuff. Questions I don't have answers to, at least not yet. So we got all of that. And just a lot of the people's names coming up. It's fantastic about who's staying, who's going, who's going to go ahead and just be a Vegas Golden. Who wants to be a Vegas Golden Knight? Who knows? And of course the fantasticness that is the Pittsburgh Penguins parade. All due respect to the Penguins, the fans are idiots. We're a Caps podcast. There are very few Caps or Penguins fans that I can enjoy, that I know are smarter than the average bear. But when you bitch and complain about the fans of Nashville booing after you win a Stanley Cup, you're legally insane. Like, that is possibly the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I've heard a lot of dumb things, ladies and gentlemen. In my line of work, and here and in the past, you hear a lot of stupid things. Living in Maryland, and Glen Burnie especially, and Anne Arundel County as a whole, you hear a lot of dumb things. To say, why aren't they cheering after their team lost and our team won for a championship? You're utterly moronic, folks. That's where we're at with that. I mean, to say something, no sane person says that. No sane person says that. No sane person is happy their team lost. So for them to boo, the Predators fans to boo the Penguins, I am all for. The fact they weren't able to get a catfish into the bowl of the cup as they were presenting it to Sidney Crosby, that I think is something that will always be a lost moment. But to have that pinpoint accuracy, I'm sure, would have been with a catfish. You gotta heave it. Do you heave it? Do you overhead it? It's the whole thing we talked about years ago when the Swedish team had the dildos thrown onto the ice. Remember that, kids? It's a good time had by nobody. But we always talked about you do the javelin throw, you do the end over end, the little axe throw. I mean, how do you? Obviously, the heave. You do the old heave ho like Uncle Phil did with DJ Jazzy Jeff. That's how you get the catfish into there. But full marks to the Predators. If Pecorine knew how to play in Pittsburgh, then we have ourselves a different tale, possibly. But the fact that I think he's career 0-6 in Pittsburgh and his save percentage is something like .825 in Pittsburgh. Yeah, we got ourselves a little bit of a situation going on here. But is what it is. The Predators obviously going to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference, or at least one of the middling teams, because they play in that Central Division. That Central Division can change here and there. Couple subtractions, couple additions here and there. Who knows what to say? They got a good core group. Anytime you can build around PK Subban, I think that's a good idea. You build around Roman Josi. You build around basically your defense. I mean those four guys of Subban, Josi, Ryan Ellis, and I can't remember the fourth guy, the Ringo of the group. I think it's Arvidsson. No, he's a forward. Point is this, folks. You go ahead and you get that core there, and then you can pretty much build around it. I mean, Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson, giving them pretty much offensive talent they haven't seen before. I'm sure Martin Erat, we all know Martin Erat is that high-level talent that the Predators know for offense. It's so stupid to say. That's so stupid to say. That's so stupid to say in hindsight. In hindsight being 2020. At the time, it was still kind of a bad move too. So we can't really say one way or t'other that it was a good idea. But here we are. Here we are again as the season is over. Let me see who that fourth guy is. That's going to annoy me because I'm going to say it and it's going to be like, oh, right. Him. Ekholm. That's right. The Swedish destroyer. So he's there. And Ekholm's contract, he's 27 years old. And he's got a nice little 5 more years. He's the same length as PK's contract. So that's good. Roman Josi, 3 more years at $4 million. Ryan Ellis, the youngest and the guy who has the least amount of time, 2.5 for 2 more years. That's pretty good. You look down the forward roster, obviously you got Philip Forsberg, you got James Neal, who played with a broken hand the last 2 rounds. Somewhat effective. So, I mean, good on him. Craig Smith signed for a bit. Colin Wilson, Kelly Yarncroc, Kevin Fiala, who I think they missed him. I mean, who knows if he would have played an entire playoff, what he could have done. But he has that freak fall in the first or second round. And here we are. I mean, same goes with Ryan Johansson. And Ryan Johansson, this is going to be interesting because he's arbitration eligible. He's a restricted free agent. Who knows where they're going to go from here with that. Cody McLeod still on there, possible buyout candidate. Emil Peterson, entry-level guy, didn't really get much. Colton Sisson, he's a guy you could possibly dangle out there for free agency. Had a great playoff, had a John Drusian kind of playoff. Mika Salamaki is up there too. Freddie Gaudreau had himself a nice little playoff as well. Austin Watson wowed a lot of heads, and Austin Watson's a guy who played in Milwaukee for years, so that's a huge thing. Victor Arvidsson, also a guy who has arbitration eligibility in his favor. So it's a situation where they have a lot of options to go on here. Whether they're going to re-sign either Mike Fisher or Vern Fiddler. Mike Fisher, 30. He's going to be 30. It's going to be 38. He's 37 now. He just turned 37. So. Are the legs not what they used to be? What's going to happen there? That said, probably akin to Philip Forsberg, maybe the 5.5 range. That's a possibility. Of course, it depends on who they take, who the Vegas Golden Knights take in the expansion draft from that team. And Pekka Rinne, what's to say? What can you say about Pekka Rinne? He's a guy who this year, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you can go ahead and characterize this year. He wasn't that good this year. I know it because I had him in fantasy hockey. It's very, very up and down. But when the playoffs hit, I mean, the first round, boom, sweep of the Blackhawks. Okay, that's pretty good. Next round, boom, they went ahead and won that one in 5 or 6 games. Took on the Ducks, played well there, and then it just seemed once they get to Pittsburgh, all those rivers and bridges, I'm sure, and the inability to get a cab just completely wrecked them. And so goes the momentum. 2 more years left on his contract. 34-year-old goalie. Can't get rid of him. Modified, no trade, no move. So see how that goes. Future looks bright though. Back end looks good. Front end looks good. Everything looks good, except for the back end. Goaltending. UC Saros still needs a little bit of time. Marek Mazanek. It's weird. He was supposed to be the next guy, and then UC Saros just pretty much usurped him. We'll see how that goes in the goaltending thing. And what more can you say about the Penguins? Again, hats off to that team. I begrudgingly say it, but they're a team right now that this is a dynasty. I mean, they have a guy in Evgeny Malkin who, all intents and purposes, should have won the Conn Smythe this year. He's going to be there for a bit. Obviously, Crosby's there for a bit, depending on his head health. Phil Kessel seems like the most amazing pickup in the history of the world. And then you got older guy. I mean, you got your Patrick Hornquist just turned. It's going to turn 34 at the beginning of the calendar year, or 31 at the beginning of the calendar year. Carl Hagelin, Jake Gensel, Jake Gensel. And that's the thing about the Penguins, that you look at all these guys and their ability to turn out great talent that started off from the ECHL. I mean, because the Penguins, I think, outside of the Red Wings, the Penguins really use their ECHL affiliate, their AA affiliate, to its utmost. Because you look at Carter Rowney, you look at Tom Kuhnhackl, look at all these other guys who toiled in the minors for a bit. Carter Rowney especially, because he got out of University of North Dakota, goes to Wheeling, plays Wheeling for a little bit, I believe, and then goes to Wilkes-Barre, and then goes up to the big team and contributes a lot in terms of just being that agitator, being that guy who forechecks, does everything, does those little things really well. So I mean, that's huge for them. Huge question for them: defense, backline. What are they going to do? Chris Letang, 7.25. If he's healthy, it's a good thing. Olli Maatta, maybe it was me. I wasn't too impressed with him this playoff. Couple times he looked outmatched at times, but I'm probably trying to see every fault in there. Ian Cole is Ian Cole. You get what you get, but they had a lot of guys to sign in terms of defense, and there's a lot of guys coming up. If you want Jeff Taylor come up, if you want Ethan Prow, I mean, there's a lot. There's very few and far between. Of course, this is a team that also has Daniel Sprong, and man, if he can come up, if he can go through the system like a guy like Carter Rowney has, and Sprong, all due respect to Carter, but Sprong has a little bit more raw talent inside of him that he can go ahead and do this. My God, like if you can get Daniel Sprong in there, that'd be amazing. And by amazing, I mean, Jesus, really? These guys found another one? Why can't the Caps go ahead and do that? And we talked about that on the Sodas Rumble, just how bad the Caps draft picks were that they got from the Blues. They turned it into Sergei Gonchar and Brendan Witt, sure. But Nolan Baumgartner? I mean, Miko Elamora? Like, my God. It's terrible picks. And the Caps don't have a pick until like the 4th round this year anyway. Great times. I doubt they'll trade for anybody either. That's the worst part about it. I can only hold my solace in Bookstore gets picked in the expansion draft, and then somehow, some way, miraculously, Dmitry Orlov goes to Vegas in a side deal. We'll see. That's my hope against hopes. It's not going to happen, I bet, but it's my hope against hopes, just so they can keep Grubauer, because they're going to have to sign him anyway. But I'd rather them sign him than trying to find a backup goaltender to back up Holtby. That's just the strategic backup goaltender, which I never buy. A backup goalie specialist. Terrible. Stupid idea, but what can you do? All right. Let's get to some injuries, I guess. It's really lonesome doing a show by myself. Not going to lie to you. So I think we did this in the summertime at one point. It's hard. It's hard to do. Hard to do when you do another podcast with somebody else too. And that, that's fun. That's kind of why I quit the farm report. Too much too soon. Oh, we got some other big news. Silly me. So, if you're audio only, and most of you are, you might be seeing some changes here in a little bit. We will, as I announced today, we kind of finalized this deal in general, but as of soon, I think this summertime, Face Off Hockey Show will be on Blog Talk Radio as our host. They will be hosting our audio, both of the Face Off Hockey Show proper and the Soderstrom Bubble. We had talked to Jay Soderberg, who is the head of content there at Blog Talk Radio. He is formerly of ESPN and created a lot of the ESPN stuff. Did a lot with Grantland and Bill Simmons. Did a lot with all their podcasts, especially their fantasy podcast. And he moved to Blog Talk to get things going there because there was, and I'll shoot straight, there was an onus against Blog Talk Radio because the sound quality was not as good as, some people. And I'll be honest, we, as a Face Off Hockey Show, we pretty much had a radio station in our stead. Like, what Shauno had, what Dave had, we had basically a radio station set up and ready to go. So our audio quality, we always prided ourselves in that because we wanted it to sound like radio. When we heard Blog Talk for the site, and this was years ago, it didn't sound as good. It didn't sound as crisp. It sounded very odd. So Soderberg goes in there. Jay gets things cleaned up. He gets things going, makes things slick. And, we talked about it. We bandied about a couple of weeks ago between Mark and Jay and myself. Johnny had other things to do. And we, I think Johnny just couldn't get off lunch break early enough for this meeting. So we talked about it, and the ideas they had were interesting. I like where they're going. We liked where they're going after we talked about it, and we decided to move on to Blog Talk Radio. Don't know when when we get those ideas, when we get that whole thing, we will pass the information on to you as soon as we can. I will tell you this: there will be a few changes once we start, and you'll notice when we make the switch over to Blog Talk Radio. Is that we will have more ads, and if you listen to other podcasts, Podcast One I think does it, Blog Talk Radio does it, ESPN does it, where they have the set ads where it's like Lowe's or Home Depot, big national thing, and 30-second ads, and that's really the biggest change is ads going to be in the show. Where they're going to be, we'll let you guys know. Don't worry, we're not going to leave you out on the hang. I tell you one thing, we'll do what we like to call a cold open, where you'll hear the sultry sounds of me talking about what the hell is coming up with the show. Then we'll drop the bass in there, the ad, and then on with the show as usual, and then maybe something at the end. What that does is, it generates things, it generates ideas, generates people, and money. Let's be honest, folks. It generates this show. We've been doing this show out of pocket for a long time, 15 years. If you remember, if you're a long-time listener, first-time caller, I should do this as a trivia thing. Name the two sponsors that you remember of Face Off Hockey Show. Name the two sponsors of the Face Off Hockey Show. I don't know what we'll give you. I don't care. We'll find something. And we'll go from there. I'll give you a Face Off Hockey Show sticker. If you want a Face Off Hockey Show sticker, give me a Twitter at Scotty Waz. I'll get you a Face Off Hockey Show sticker. Point is this, though. We've been a long time just paying for ourselves, and now we figured that this is an opportunity that we can go ahead and, after 15 years, start to be better. Start to have things offset cost. If this is something that behooves, behooves is not the right word. If that's something that distracts you, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. that's a business decision on our part, and we have to do it because the Chicago trip is interesting. And if we could have a little bit of money in the bank to get the briefcase from the ceiling to do that, that'd be great. But we had to do it out of our own pocket. And when Jay came along with this idea and the ideas that we threw about together, we were into it. And that's how we're going to be. And that's how it's going to be. It's like Third Eye Blind. How's it going to be? And it's going to be like this. So there will be ads in here in the near future when we start going to Blog Talk Radio. We might have a little more integration, too, with the other hockey shows that they have on their networks. Could be a big conglomerated family. Could have more guests, have more variety. I know you're tired of us bitching about the Caps all the time and Lyle bitching about the Habs. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. And I think it's going to be good for everybody. You get to hear more people. You'll get to hear different voices, and we can make a little bit here. We can finally earn something. Might be little, might be big. This is obviously Johnny gave you the monetization things from YouTube. 20 cents. I hope it's more than 20 cents, but if it's only 20 cents and we made 20 cents to it, we can make a phone call and said, "Hey, we made it," and then be like, "Hey, sir, it's 35 cents now." We're like, "Wait, what year is this?" And we constantly go back. So that's big news. Face Off Hockey Show will be moving to Blog Talk Radio. If you're a subscriber on iTunes, from our understanding, is that Blog Talk Radio will handle all that transfer. You should not have to resubscribe. You should not have any hiccups. But if there are, we'll give you full notice. Go to our Facebook page, FOHS Radio, or our Twitter, Face Off HDKY Show, and we'll tell you if there's issues. If there's not, great. If there is, these things happen. Sorry. Don't know what to tell you guys. But, yeah, that's another big news is Face Off Hockey Show will be moving to BTR soon enough. So that's that. I think that's pretty much all we have. House cleaning in terms of that. We'll talk to the boys a little bit later. Hopefully we'll get Jay Soderberg on when this thing is all finalized. We can talk about things and stuff and just podcasting, and because he's been in the game as much as we have, and that's what he discussed. He's like, "Wow, you guys have been around for about as long as I have." I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're used." And almost half my life, I've been podcasting. About half my life, because I started at 17 with the other hockey show before that predated Face Off Hockey Show. So about half my life I've been doing that. God, half my life. I made 20 cents. Well, we've made 20 cents. So if you divide that into 3, I've made 6.33 and then continuing decimals. Or is it 6.6? A lot of decimals in there, folks, is what I'm saying. A lot of decimal places. That's another thing about Don Solo. I can't enjoy my water. I can't enjoy my water that is Bud Light as much because I'm constantly talking. And I don't want to Jim Rome this whole thing and leave gaps, or Nate Lewis thing and I'll leave a huge gap and make you think that we went off the air. I don't even know if we're on there. I don't even know if the audio is recording. It was recording at the start. Don't know if it's still there. At Scotty Waz, if you can hear me. Holla if you hear me. To all my freaks out there. All right. Let's get to some down and dirty, folks. Let's get to some injury report. And a little bit of injury report. The first one, the biggest one, is the news that came out just recently of Mr. Erik Karlsson, the guy who got a vote in the Conn Smythe Trophy race, which, sure, I guess. That's a Dan Le Batardian giving his vote to Deadspin kind of thing. But he underwent surgery today, Wednesday, to repair the ligaments in his foot that he torn during the Stanley Cup playoffs. 4 months is the expected timeline for his recovery, and that puts him about the middle or at the end of the first month of the season. So that'll be rough. 2 hairline fractures as well in his heel was there too. That's quite warrior kind of guy. So they say he's going to be healthy enough for the start of the season. If you do that 4-month ratio, 4 months from now puts him probably first or second week. We don't know. The home openers of the NHL will be unveiled on the day after the expansion draft and the awards show, and the day before the NHL draft. So NHL, if nothing else, next week, this coming week is going to be interesting for the NHL. Tuesday, you got the jersey unveil for all 30 teams. Wednesday, the awards show / expansion draft / hey, look, NHL 18's out again. Thursday, home, and I think also Wednesday, home openers will be unveiled. Or the 19th. I think 19th home openers are unveiled, and the 20th, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the Thursday, the day before the draft, is the full schedule unveil. And then the draft is on next Friday night. So, news cycle aplenty for the NHL going forward. We're going to be, I don't know where we're going to be. I know I'll be in Chicago this time next week. So the show will be on the road next week. Or at least my part of the show will be on the road next week. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. We'll get all that stuff there. So anyway, Erik Karlsson, as we bandy back here, Erik Karlsson had himself a surgery in North Carolina, of all places. And he will be back by the first month, maybe a little bit less than the first month. James Neal played the final 2 rounds with a broken hand. My God, how could you grip a stick that way? Game 1 of the conference final against the Ducks. He got himself a little broken hand there. 6 goals, 3 assists on the postseason for him. They don't show where the last 10 games went there. Ryan Johansson got some news Tuesday, say he's ahead of schedule from his thigh surgery. He could be skating in a couple weeks. That's a big, big step forward for him, especially considering, that's a brutal injury. So here we are. Nick Bonino, broken tibia, tried to play through it. Could not, obviously, but he's got a championship ring. Good for him. And it always blurs that line. I mean, we talk about James Neal playing with a broken hand and Erik Karlsson playing with broken hairline fractures and then torn tendons. Brave or stupid? Always the question that comes about. Brave or stupid? I guess in some cases you can say it's both, but in most cases it's kind of stupid. The Greg Campbell thing where he broke his leg after taking a shot block. Brave at the first start and then stupid for not just staying down. Of course, as we've seen with the Zach Werenski, even if he stayed down, doubtful they get the whistle, especially on a power play, especially when guys are striking. But you always try. So, yep, Pittsburgh won. Good for them. Sidney Crosby won Conn Smythe. Again, debated about it what you will. Voters going to vote. Game 6, the most watched game since 2013. That either says something about the strength of the Pittsburgh and Nashville markets, or it says something about how bad the games have been in the Stanley Cup Final or any hockey game for the past 4 years. So, do that as you may. Mike Sullivan also becomes the first U.S. head coach to coach a cup-winning team twice, while the Penguins played the most games over a 2-year playoff span at 49. 49 games. Couldn't even get to that game 7 to get out of even 50. But here they go. 49 games overall. And as I said it, news breaking that the Predators will go ahead and start contract negotiations with Ryan Johansson and Victor Arvidsson next week. Big deal for them. Congratulations. Hopefully don't screw you for too much money. The Florida Panthers hired Bob Boughner as head coach officially. It was rumored last week. Now it was official. They had a news conference and everything. So he will be the Florida Panthers' new coach. They say they're hungry. Panthers are hungry. Don't know what to make of them. They seem on paper like a team who can go far. Good young talent. But for one reason or another, they just haven't been able to get over the hump, whether you can call it analytics or whatever that garbage is. But right now it's a wait-and-see approach. The Buffalo Sabres, on the other hand, they're waiting to name a new coach, hopefully soon. One of the reasons possibly is because Phil Halsey was still coaching the Nashville Predators. And he fits all the criteria as Phil Halsey, former Sabre great. And I'm sure he's buddies with somebody who knows the ownership there. So the Bagulias. Like I mentioned, the Adidas, they teased the New Jerseys. They're debuting Tuesday. can you believe it? The only real change that I've seen right now is the Minnesota Wild going ahead and going with the full Montreal Canadiens stripe. Too much talking. No more air in my lungs. So we'll see what comes of it. Doesn't look like there's many changes. If anything, I almost wonder if they're going to look like the World Cup of Hockey jerseys. A lot of people saying, there have been reports saying there's going to be no stripes. There's no stripes. There's no stripes. I think there's going to be stripes. The 3 stripes. You can't have Adidas without a 3 stripe somewhere. Whether it be the littlest thing on the sleeve or on the hem, the 3 stripes will be there. I guarantee you that. Even if it's just the logo. That's all you need. So there's that. Andrew Barroway, the sole owner of your Arizona Coyotes, making this nightmare continually waking. Bought out all the other guys, all the other jabrones, and he is now the one to rule them all. I know everyone's thrilled with Andrew Barroway and what he's done for this nation. He's going to move the team, isn't he? Going to move the team. One team that's not moving, that's the Calgary Flames. We kind of figured that, even though Brian Burke's tirade as such. Quebec City mayor said, yeah, they're not moving. This is political. You know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. They know what we know what they're doing. It's kind of a weird web that they leave. Although Ken King was on a radio show in Toronto, and the topic was brought up about Daryl Cates going to Seattle, taking in the Seahawks game, very publicly taking in a Seahawks game, possibly to scare money out of the province of Alberta. We got him a new arena. Ken King said, we're not going to do that. We'll just leave. We'll just up and skedaddle. We'll Baltimore Colts get a Mayflower van and wheel it into Calgary, load it up at the Saddle Dome, take her away. Possible. Nothing's impossible, folks. If Gretzky can move, anything is possible. Anything. Caps winning a cup, probably not, but everything else, very possible. And as we mentioned, Greg Campbell retired. He becomes we mentioned Greg Campbell. Greg Campbell retired, and he is becoming a part of player development for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Golly. And then he will be there forever, even though he begrudgingly didn't want to go down to the minors. And surprise, Columbus gave him a job after that whiny outfit. But what can you do? Now the clock's on to see if Joe McGinley will retire, Matt Cullen will retire, all that fun stuff. Who could retire? We'll see. We will see. I mean, obviously, I'm sure a lot of those guys probably don't want to go to Vegas. Too old. Too old to go to Vegas. Can't get as drunk as you could be. But you could get even more drunk. I don't know. I don't know these things. We'll talk to Lyle Richardson here in a bit. Give my vocal cords a bit of a break. Watch me get an email now saying Lyle's going to be not here. That'd be tremendous. That would be like the end-all, be-all. I would end the show right now. Who cares? We're doing 76 hours of coverage of the expansion draft. You guys will deal with it. I was going to do a draft show, as always. Got the email. He said we're going to join us now. All right, we'll get Lyle on here. Shoot him the link. It's weird because Hangouts is a weird thing. I had this problem with Radio's Todd Butts trying to get this Google Hangout link going. Thank Christ Almighty I was able to get this thing working. Other than that, my God. I'll be joined by Lyle Richardson shortly. I'll go from there. Lord have mercy. We'll see what happens there. Vegas, baby. Vegas. That's the big thing. That's the big topic it's going to be right now. Penguins, yeah, you had your parade. It's over. Now, who's going to Vegas? And Lyle Richardson joins us. Scott Lyle, thank you.
Hey, man, you're working solo, man.
Yes, the Pitantos had some family business to attend to.
The family business.
Yeah. I will email you that family business too, because
that mafia stuff. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Not that I'm
Owning or against the mafia.
being anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yes, exactly.
Just keeping it in the family.
You got to don't disrespect the pizzeria, Lyle. You know that as well as I do.
No, exactly. And remember, there's always money in the banana stand.
There is always money in the banana. I have not
Always.
watched any of the new Arrested Development.
I watched the. I don't know. I heard. I guess there's a 5th season or a 2nd season on Netflix, but a 5th. It'll be their 5th season overall. But they're. I watched the 4th season that they put on Netflix. It was okay, but I mean, I know they were like trying to get back into the the groove again. Haven't gotten the gang back together again. It was good, but the first 3 seasons of that show set such a high bar, such a high standard that I mean, I'm mentally I was prepared for them not to be able to clear that bar. I figured, no, it'll be good, but yeah. But maybe the next season, because they are going to do a new season, maybe they'll come close to approaching it. I'm willing to give them a chance.
And it's one of those things where it was so much time in between.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it was. It was a long time in between those. The season 3 and the Netflix season 4. And I think that's kind of inevitable. You got to kind of blow the dust off things a little bit and work out the kinks.
And get everyone else up to speed who may have not seen it in the first run, even though, like, I know it was on CBC in syndication for a bit.
Oh Lord, that believe it or not, that's where I discovered the show. It was in syndication during, of all things, right before the Supper Hour News here in Canada, and that's where I discovered it because when it was playing its original run, I mean, I just didn't get a chance to see it. I'd heard a lot of good things about it, but never got a chance to see it. And then when they had it on, and it was my son who turned me on to it because he was watching them on the and that as I said during that Supper Hour lead into your Supper Hour News, which kind of surprised me. I was like, wow, 5:30 in the afternoon, a little early for this uncensored stuff, but not that it was anything real dirty, but a lot of adult themes there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The reason it was on like at 9 o'clock on Fox regularly.
Exactly. Well, we are progressive here in Canada, apparently. Yes. So, I thank CBC for putting it on at a time when I could see it and go, yeah, this show is great. It's hilarious. So
I'll tell you where you're progressive too. Bank cards.
Oh yeah.
The people are still trying to figure out the chip here. I'm like, I've had this since 2006. What are you guys doing?
It's like, come on.
Why don't you have this technology? You're usually the first to have. I mean, have you heard of this Pepsi Fire? Do you have Pepsi Fire up there?
No.
Pepsi Fire, cinnamon Pepsi.
But
yeah, I know.
Yeah, that I think that's going to go the way of Crystal Pepsi. But
they brought Crystal Pepsi back though.
No, well, I don't blame them. I mean, it was it was called Crystal for a reason. It was really great, really great, really great. But anyway, So
yeah, Pepsi Fire. Apparently, I don't like cinnamon things, so Jen had it, and she's like, "This is not so good."
Yeah, well, I mean, now cinnamon can be good in certain doses. There's reasons why you see people take that challenge where they take a big heaping spoonful of it on these YouTube videos and end up almost at their brains almost explode. So,
well, these things happen.
Small dose, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're dumb enough to do it, then you get what you deserve. But
exactly, some would argue their brains weren't that big to begin with for doing.
Well, obviously not. Listen, it's about. Look, I learned when I was 13, it wasn't a good idea if your friend said, "Here, man, try this."
That's the whole thing with the ghost pepper challenge stuff now. Like, do this.
Yeah, that was my introduction to Tabasco sauce 40 years ago. Big heaping spoonful of it. Here, try this. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it didn't turn me off of Tabasco sauce, but it took it took a decade for that memory to fade before I was willing to try Tabasco again. But anyway,
fair enough. You lose your nerve.
But I was 13, so that was my excuse. My brain was not fully formed. I learned after that when your friends say, "Here, man, try this," and they've got that evil glint in their eyes. Screw you, But anyway,
yeah.
So listen, what's the dealy boo with Chi-Town? Johnny going? Johnny not going?
Johnny is at the moment going. I don't know with this new development that's happened will make him not go. Again, not my story to tell.
No. I'll
tell
get the
Yeah, yeah.
emails and all that later. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. But I know Jen and I leave Tuesday morning. Jen and I have been credentialed.
Excellent.
We're trying to wrangle for Johnny's. Like,
wow.
The biggest thing is just the NHL just not getting back to us and lying to us, and it's been fun.
You know, I mean, I hate saying it, but I just get this bad feeling that you guys are one of these days. I hate saying it, but you just get the sense that you're going to run into that stone wall where they're just going to turn around and go, nope.
The good thing that we have with us is that Jen has many contacts with the NHL.
Yeah.
And that's a huge plus.
Big time
for us.
Big time. Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of those things where I know that's coming too, and it's kind of just like what's going, because that whole week, like the ECHL holds their annual meetings that week, the AHL holds their stuff that week, so it's like there are other options for us to cover if we need to. But obviously, you want to go to the draft because it's a congregation of everyone that we love and enjoy. In one thing, and we can hang out with people we don't usually get to hang out with and stuff like that. So I mean that's kind of the big reason why we continue to go and push for it so hard. And I mean with Jen and I covering UND, like it gives us another outlet in terms of what we can report on and stuff. And again, I'll be doing stuff for UNDsports.com this draft as well, so that's stuff that we can progress on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know it's coming too. It's just like, this, as it's been getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
no one, and it's funny because we talked to team PR guys, and they give us an entire different story from what the league gave to us.
Yeah.
So there's no communication there. None communication.
Yeah.
But we will be going to Chicago on, Jen and I leave Tuesday because we're driving there. It's only a scant 12-hour trip.
You guys can handle it.
Not terrible.
Split the driving.
She doesn't drive.
Oh, she doesn't drive. Well, then take lots of rest breaks.
Her vision is terrible. I think even with glasses and contacts, she's a -11.5.
Ooh,
it's not good. It's
I thought mine was bad. Wow,
about this close to legally blind. So she doesn't drive, so I'll be manning the whole thing. And then we got the Cubs tickets today. So
there you go.
Cubs game Wednesday.
Oh, can I just say right now how jealous I am of you right now?
Oh, dude, I'm jealous. My 6-year-old self is jealous of me.
Oh man,
it's so awesome! Like the afternoon at Wrigley, and it's infield box. Like we're going to be close too. So sure, that was a big hit. But you got to pay a little to get a little.
Yeah. So. Well, hey, you make the most of these opportunities when you get them, my friend. I do not blame you.
And then that Thursday, Thursday's the Puck Daddy party, and then Friday the big shoe, and then we go back. We drive back Sunday. Johnny leaves Sunday.
So we still doing the live links as we've done in the past, eh?
We hopefully we will see what the connection is.
You know I am here.
I know you are there, so
I am here, and I will have some frosty soldiers there too to imbibe for the post draft wind down.
Oh, the post draft show we're definitely going to be doing. Come hell or high water, we will find a way to do it. The in draft hits. It depends.
See how it goes. Oh,
see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see what the weather is.
Because like I said, I'm going to be here, so I'll still be following. It's like I said, I mean, I would have loved to have gone to Chicago, but I just got my car back this week, nearly $2,000 worth of body work done. Yes, plus another $460 to get my the chimney flashing on my roof patched up because there was some leakage.
Oof.
Up in that ma. So fortunately I caught that. Yeah, I saw it. So yeah, nearly $2,500 later, but my car looks good and my chimney flashing don't leak no more. So there you go.
That's always a plus.
The price you pay. So I'm looking ahead at next year. Now my cousin is getting married and he's in Edmonton. He's getting married in August, but depending on how things go dollar wise, if I can scrape up some shekels to do both, I will. Depending on where it's going to be too. That's, I mean, we don't know right now where the 2018 draft is going to be, or 2018.
No,
yeah.
we don't know what 2018
We
is
don't
going
know
to be
where
yet.
that. We won't find that out until, I guess, afterwards. Now, if it's close enough, but Jesus, if it was in Edmonton, score.
Sure, yeah.
Because I got family. If it's in Washington, score, because I can crash at Johnny's. So you know.
That's true.
Well, because Johnny already got the standing invite there, so we can't take that back.
That's true. That's true. And then Jen and
So
I
that
will
would
find
work.
a place.
And
Right.
if it was in Boston, I mean, I can do that drive. I can do that drive. Or Montreal again, I can do that drive.
My thinking is if we're handicapping everything, as we are wont to do in this show, obviously Vegas will be number one.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're probably really going to push hard for Vegas.
Vegas, Edmonton, another one because of the new arena.
And with McDavid, the excitement there.
Sure, absolutely. That team turning a
corner. They still owe Winnipeg.
Winnipeg's another. That would be a great. That's a 2.5-hour drive from my house. So,
yeah.
I'd be pleased with that.
Toronto's still angling. Toronto was still angling.
Montreal's probably still up there too because it's 100 years. And
well, no, they did that already. But
they'll try to do the 100 years of the NHL.
The 110 or something. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, 109. Done fine.
Yeah, they but they haven't done Washington.
And I don't think they ever will.
Like, what's the deal there?
I think a lot of that has to do with the Mystics playing there. Summer concert season. They have an arena football team that draws tens of people. Like I saw pictures from that game. There may have been 500 people there in that 18,000 seat arena. Like it's like arena football doesn't have the big showing that it once did, Lyle. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, color me shocked.
Right? And there's also a team in Baltimore 40 miles away, and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, can I just interrupt you real quickly? We've had our first trade, but you notice I'm not like all excitable about it. Tyler Graovac from the Minnesota Wild to your Washington Capitals for a 2018 fifth-round pick. He's 24 years old, and he had 7 goals in 57 games with the Wild. So there you go. That coming down over the wire right now. Tyler Graovac from the Wild to the Capitals, big center for a 2018 fifth-round pick. And that's our first post playoff pre-expansion draft move. So it's a slight tremor. A slight tremor. But it involved your cap, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. Otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned it at all.
Let
me check this kid out anyway.
Ottawa 67's prospect, 6'5", 212 out of Brampton, Ontario.
Big lanky dude.
Big lanky dude. Doesn't look like he scores a lot. Like in the OHL, he cracked 20 once. But that was in 30 games. 21 goals in 30 games. That's pretty good.
Wow, that's not too bad. He's 24. Left-handed shot. Yeah, he played 52 games this season. This was his call-up season.
I wonder.
He did get in 5 games in the previous 2 seasons with the Wild. But this year was his first year where he was called up. So
full time.
Yeah,
my thinking is this. I wonder if they're not getting him because they might know Jay Beagle gets picked in the expansion draft. I know we're all angling Philip Grubauer. Maybe a younger replacement for Jay Beagle.
Maybe. Who knows?
Even if
insurance is insurance. Yeah.
And even if they don't, even if Jay Beagle goes elsewhere, if they use Jay Beagle as a trade piece, like this is a younger situation for Jay Beagle.
Yeah,
as the kids like to call him.
Jay Beagle.
But interesting pickup. Don't lose much.
Mm-hmm. No.
I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to look down at the Caps draft roster for next year.
It won't put much of a dent in their salary cap, that's for sure.
No,
this kid's probably just making like league minimum or just above. So
yeah, they haven't switched it over as yet. So we'll talk about that. Caps this year, by the way, don't pick until round 4.
Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark. Well, that's why I put them down as one of my teams that might try and trade up. In one of my Bleacher Reports, Slajo Slideshow. Yeah, one of my Bleacher Report slideshow. Yeah, he's making, by the way, Grailbatch making $625K. $625,000 per season. And he's got one season left in his contract. So there you go.
Yeah, that's not a risk. Not
that won't put much of a ding in the old payroll, cap payroll.
Yeah.
So yep.
Good for them.
As you said, if you lose Beagle, well, there you go. You got yourself an affordable depth edition to plug in there and see how it goes.
So. And let's be honest, Jay Beagle's 31 years old.
Yeah.
He'll be 32 by the time the season starts, around there.
And the type of game he plays, it takes a lot of energy.
Exactly.
And it's hard to maintain that the older you get.
Yeah. So, all right. Welcome, Ty. We appreciate your
well, hey, now do something to make Caps fans love you. Dude.
Hope you enjoyed the letdown.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's going from one to another, really, because boy, the Wild are just they're kind of in a. But at least with Washington, you're along for like a good ride in the regular season. It with the Wild, it's just been a roller coaster, you know.
Yeah.
Especially
but they're playing
year.
that weird Central Division where everyone's a contender and everyone's terrible.
Yeah.
Like I think the Blackhawks and maybe now the Predators are the exception to that rule.
Yeah. Well, no, there's the Blues too. Correct.
Oh, I forgot about the Blues.
Can't forget. I know it's so easy to. Oh, I'm sorry, Blues.
All tucked away there in Missouri.
But I mean, it's a good division. Jesus, don't get me wrong. But yeah, like this year was just, except for the Predators, it was like the division of disappointment. And just wow.
Yeah.
You know, it was just the division of meh.
Meh, yeah. I bet you the Winnipeg Jets are kicking themselves for not getting Grailbatch.
Damn, so close.
By the way, can we call him the Suction? Because he is a Grailbatch.
I saw what you did there.
Off season. I'm already trying to get I'm already conditioning for next year, folks.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I saw what you did there. Oh, and we really have hit the silly season trade rumor. Why I saw one come flying across the wire today. No, you'll like this one.
I will.
No, because this one, Alex Galchenyuk for a first round pick for Jonathan Drouin.
Jen showed me that when we were.
Oh, you saw that one
at the vet with our cat.
The good place to be to see that sort of thing, because you want to take that and wrap it up and put it at the bottom of a cat litter box.
You want to punch a rabbit at that point.
Oh, I know. You want to do cruel things to puppies when you read things like that.
My thing is this: why would the Lightning do that? Like,
exactly.
Why would they do that?
It's a stupid move. It's a dumb. It's not a good move for both clubs. I mean, it doesn't address the Habs' need for a first line center. You know, I mean, yes, you're trading Drouin for Galchenyuk. Okay, yes, you're getting kind of offense for offense, but it's really, from their point of view, it's kind of a sideways move. And he's not a first line center. He's a left wing. That's what he is. And you're going to give up a first-round pick and Galchenyuk? Oh, please. Let's holy overpayment, Batman. Rest in peace, Adam West. He was, by the way, he was my Batman. I grew up on Adam West and Batman. Nah. But anyway, but more to the point, for the Lightning, if you're going to trade Drouin, the consensus out of Tampa Bay, in the media, they're covering the Lightning, is if they move Drouin, it's going to be for a top 4 defenseman. That's what they need, preferably a puck-moving defenseman. That's why it was linked to Kevin Shattenkirk back in January before the Blues traded him to the Capitals. So why would those two teams make that move? It's a sideways move that doesn't address neither club's respective needs. It's just shuffling chairs. Doesn't address their needs. So sorry, not. Could it happen? Sure. We've seen dumb or puzzling trades before, but no. And definitely not throwing a first-round draft pick in there. I mean, come on. If Mark Bergevin makes that trade, he should be fired immediately, because that's just stupid.
How much time does he have left?
Bergevin? No. Listen, I think he's. If we'll put it this way, if the Habs miss the playoffs next season, I would say his job would be in jeopardy. But as long as they make the playoffs, He's fine. He'll be fine. And, I know a lot of people the only reason why people are raising the question about his future is because, but we traded Subban for Shea Weber, and Subban went to the Stanley Cup final with the Predators. You see? And it's like, yeah, but the Predators also had some pretty good goal scorers there that helped them get to the final before they lost Ryan Johansson along the way and Kevin Fiala off of their power play, and that really hurt them. So, I mean, yes, Subban definitely helped the Predators get to the final, no question about it. He was one of their best defensemen, but come on, I mean, the reason Montreal didn't get past the first round wasn't because Shea Weber was terrible. It was because they couldn't score.
Yeah. By the way, in my rambling in that first hour,
which I missed in my apologies.
Don't worry, you didn't miss much. I talked about how the Predators probably, when you look at them, very, very well set up, especially because they start from the back line up.
Yep.
And they finally have proven scorers in Philip Forsberg and Ryan Johansson.
Oh God, yeah. And listen, Fiala, I think is he's only going to get better. If they don't lose Colton Sissons, I mean, he could be a good addition. He showed a fair bit of promise there in the playoffs. Now you want to kind of be a little bit cautious on basing one good strong playoff run and assuming that that's going to extrapolate it forward into a terrific career. It might not, but it could. And I think that they've got the best top 4 defense in the league, I think, in terms of how they've got that stacked up. Rene, I think the only question is just with him is just, I mean, he's what, 34, 35 now? How many more, good years does he have left in him? That's the only real concern. Maybe you bring the other young Finn in there, give him a little bit more playing time. But yeah, I think the Preds I think their window is open right now. I think they're in good shape going forward for the next several years.
Yeah, and they're constructed for playoff hockey so long as it's not in Western Pennsylvania. I think that's the big. Like those stats crazy. For Pekka Rinne were astounding.
I know, eh? I mean, just
what can you say? What can you really say, honestly?
I've never seen a goaltender just, be so dominant on home ice and then struggle so badly on the road, and especially in the final. I mean, ouch. Get it pulled twice, in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, listen, I give them credit for sticking with them, and I mean, he did reward their faith in them. But I mean, he certainly played well in Game 6. I mean, that winning goal by Hornqvist. I mean, it was a fluke. I mean, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Hornqvist, but come on. I mean, dude, you were behind the net, and he was just desperation at that point. It just caught his arm and went in. I don't think that wasn't as bad as, say, like a couple of the weak goals that Rinne gave up earlier in the series, that he would have wanted to have back. That was just a strange goal. But I think you're right, though. The Preds are in good shape going forward here. And listen, if for anything else, they've once and for all shattered the myth that Nashville isn't a hockey town. I mean, they'd broken that myth a while ago, but it just finally took the rest of the NHL media to finally, glom onto that fact this year.
Well, sure. I mean, but it's one of those things where if you don't get national coverage,
you're nothing.
No one cares.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And now everybody knows. Nashville. That is definitely a party town, and they definitely get behind the Preds. So yeah. I just like that in the press box they give out like their playoff survival kit to the media, and it contained, like I said before, like a small bottle of Jack Daniels and a bottle of Pepsi. It was
exactly. Well, they got to
and a big ass cookie which we know is important. Which we know is important. So
they had a big ass cookie and a big ass wrap. That'd be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. So, yep. All right, so the Penguins won. Whatever.
I know you're not happy with that.
The fans were pissed off because the Preds fans were booing. Penguins fans were mad because Preds fans were booing.
Just get over it. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just such nonsense. Though, like I said, again, I mean, my only comment on the whole thing was when they were booing Gary Bettman, and it was like, we've talked about this before. Scotty, you and I, we know Gary Bettman, he feeds off of your hate and your
Oh, he
tears.
loves it.
He thrives on it. If you cheered him from start to finish, he doesn't know what to do with himself.
He enjoys being the heel.
He does. He plays the Mr. McMahon role to the hilt.
Oh, absolutely.
If Mr. McMahon was a smarmy lawyer, he plays that to the hilt.
Oh,
so, yeah. But the one thing I will say, first of all, I mean, I before Game 6, I really enjoyed the whole, Crosby's legacy on the line, blah blah blah, or all this stuff. It's like, okay, first of all, Crosby's legacy was etched in stone before this year's playoffs. Okay,
2010, it was there.
Oh God, yeah, but it was like, the monument was erected last year. Okay. So his legacy was never in doubt. But I think this, once and for all, that snapped the final thread that the diehard Crosby haters were hanging on to about how, well, he's not as good a captain as Jonathan Toews, because Jonathan Toews led his team to 3 Stanley Cups, and Crosby only did it with 2, so he's not as good a captain. Well, not only has Crosby now led his team to 3 Stanley Cups, but he's done something Jonathan Toews has never done, and that's do it consecutive years and win consecutive Conn Smythe, being the first player to win consecutive Conn Smythe trophies since who? Mario Lemieux 25 years ago. So there you go. That last argument is dead. Crosby is this generation's greatest player. As Ric Flair says, you may love it, or you may not, but learn to, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because he's the best thing going today. Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer of this generation and one of the greatest of all time. Absolutely. Absolutely. But he's not the greatest player of this generation. That honor belongs to Sidney Crosby. And Connor McDavid's coming up, and maybe Austin Matthews, but they will be of their own generation coming up.
You talk about cementing legacy. If that was Alex Ovechkin, absolutely. That's a comment you can make in that situation.
Oh yeah.
Crosby already has the cup rings. He already has the gold medals. Like, there's nothing more he can do. Like,
he has climbed every mountain. Now, if they turn around and actually pull off the three-peat next year, which is what, of course, the natural assumption, having done something that no NHL team has done in nearly 20 years, win consecutive championships, now comes to think, well, can they do it for a third year? And that, I think, is a much bigger hill to climb in this day and age. Could they do it? Sure. Nobody saw them being able to win the cup this year. I mean, there were times in this year's playoffs where they looked on the verge of collapse. We saw it in the we didn't see it in the first round against Columbus. They handled the Jackets pretty easily, but against Washington, against Ottawa, against the Preds, I mean, there were times where they bent, but they did not break. They bounced back and they hung in there and ultimately prevailed. And they did it without their best defenseman. Let's be honest. I mean, God, which of course gives rise to the whole scenario of, oh, I guess that means that you don't need to have a top number 1 defenseman on your blue line to win a Stanley Cup. That was the same. Remember when Chicago won their first cup back in 2010 and with Antti Raanta, and the whole thing was, well, I guess this means you don't need a top number 1 goalie. Yeah. What a load of bollocks. And anyway.
But that's what usually happens. I mean, the easiest complaint is usually the best one. Some
people like to seize on a theme, don't they? We see a trend. No, you don't. You've seen an anomaly. It's not a trend. Okay, shuffle that to the side. But yeah, I mean, sure, they're going to be in good shape. I mean, the Penguins, they still have their core together. They do have a nice little pipeline of young talent coming in there, and give Jim Rutherford full marks, because he went out and he's stockpiled players. I mean, especially defensemen. So the pieces are there. I'm sure he can bring in more pieces next year if need be to make a third run. And if they can pull that off, well, then they're a dynasty. But I don't know. I think the odds are much longer against that one.
It'd be rougher. It'd be a lot rougher because I
Oh,
mean,
big time.
you look at like if Marc-Andre Fleury carried that team in the first part of the playoffs.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Through the
you
first
can't
two
deny
rounds, absolutely. Yeah.
it. Yeah. And since in February it comes out that he waived his no trade clause to
Yeah.
go strictly, and that was strictly to Vegas, right? Like that wasn't.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
right. Yeah. To be
like that.
exposed to the expansion draft. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's you're not going to have that safety net there anymore.
No. They're
So
going to have to go out and find one. That's for sure.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
depending on what the Caps do, it could be the same thing the Caps have to deal with. So I mean, who's to say what's going to happen there? Well, what we can make a little hide or hair of Marc-Andre Fleury, why he did it, where he did, like it seems interesting that he did it this early in February and no one leaked it. Like that's huge
Yeah.
when you see how loose lips sink ships. But no, the Penguins tight ship as you could be. We all knew it was going to happen. We didn't think it was going to happen this early, though.
Well, and don't forget, I mean, Fleury was the subject of trade rumors throughout the season. I mean, leading up to the trade deadline. I mean, there was talk that but when you look back at the rumors in retrospect, you realize they were involving teams calling and making inquiries, but nobody coming back and saying, well, yeah, the Penguins are shopping him for A, B, and C.
Right.
Or at least a solid A. A. So Rutherford runs a pretty tight ship there so far. And boy, oh boy, you talk about a general manager who salvaged his legacy. Because remember how we all laughed when the Penguins hired him as general manager away from the Carolina Hurricanes. And I guess
you get rid of someone like Ray Shero, who's been a lot of people was a mastermind.
All of those young players, Gunsel, Connor Sheary, Brian Rust, Kuhnhackl, Matt Murray, they were all drafted by Ray Shero. So yes, Rutherford came in there and is kind of reaping those benefits. But to Rutherford's credit, though, I mean, he was able to make moves that bolstered that team. I mean, he did it 2 years. He did it when he got Phil Kessel 2 years ago. Now, he did it when he acquired Trevor Daley. He did it when he got Ron Hainsey, and brought in Mark Streit as well. When he bolstered that defense, so he was able to go out and make moves that did not hurt the club, that actually improved them and gave them that depth necessary to win consecutive cups. So yeah, I mean, listen, 10 years ago, Rutherford had a great legacy because of what he did with the Hurricanes, and from 2002, 2001 up until 2010. In that decade, I mean, he did a good job building up the Hurricanes first into a perennial cup contender, or playoff contender, then winning the cup, and then they ran into some cap issues, but then they were able to get back again in 2010, at least a conference final, and then things fell apart. And you have to wonder there just how much of that was because of the ownership.
Yeah.
Because I think that had a lot to do with it. I think there's more. He's got a lot more stability there in that, in the ownership box in Pittsburgh than he had in Carolina.
Which is something you couldn't say a couple years ago.
No, that's true. We were all wondering. Well, they were looking at selling the team now.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to sell the team now, good God, you could probably maybe they should go out and test the waters again.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wouldn't want a 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the core talent that they have there?
Yeah, that'd be a great acquisition.
Yeah.
License to print money at that point. We also got a lot of guys. We got a lot of buyout offers. We got a lot of stuff this and there. Of the news that's come out today, is there one name that you're most shocked at that they're going to be splitting ways? Steve Mason's name's out there. Chris Neil, very unsurprising.
Yeah.
I mean, is there one name out there that you'd like? Maybe this could be interesting as a building block for the Golden Knights. Is Girardi that much of an interest?
I don't think so. I mean, unless they're looking at it solely from a leadership experience, you can get him very affordably now since they're going to buy him out. I was as an aside, I was more interested in hearing that Derek Stepan's name is in the trade market again. So that could be an interesting situation. Maybe Jeff Gorton's looking for a little bit more of a shakeup rather than a tweak. But in terms of names that are kind of out there right now, I haven't really seen anything that I would sit there and say, aha, that would be a great, pick. When we'll find that out is when the protected lists are revealed on
Is that Monday?
Sunday. It's the 18th.
Oh,
the
that's
17th,
right.
the 7th, yeah, Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday. And let's face it, most of it's all going to be leaked before then anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to have a look at the protected list then, because I think then we can turn around and go, for example, I mean, if let's just grab it, take a look at Anaheim. If they turn around and decide, okay, we can't find any deal here to move Vatanen, and we don't have a deal in place, or blah blah blah, and we see either Ricard Rakell or Jacob Silfverberg's name on the unprotected list, oh boy, right there.
Well, yeah. Silfverberg, I think for us, or at least our first go around, was a consensus gone.
Oh yeah, he was one of those rare. Him and Jonas Brodin.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other one coming out of Minnesota, the consensus pick. But yeah, right now there's no names, Scotty, that really leap out at me that I could say at this early stage where you could say, yeah, I think that guy's going to be, going to be somebody that could really help the Golden Knights now that he's available.
Yeah. I'm waiting for my thing to load up in terms of who I got in. I still have Silfverberg. I still have Brodin as my pick from Minnesota.
Yep. So do I. Yep. Yes. I don't think anybody's surprised that Steve Mason's career with the Flyers is done.
A lot of people would say, why now? Why not 2 years ago?
Yeah. Well, because 2 years ago he was putting up good numbers.
That's true.
That's why. But I don't think there's any surprise there. I mean, Neuwirth, yeah, they're hanging on Stolarz. They don't have to worry about losing him. But I definitely think they're going to be looking around to see what they can shake free. To give themselves an upgrade in there between the pipes. Because I mean, if you're going to go with Neuwirth as your number one guy, I'm sorry, I'm still not sold. Still not sold. I haven't seen enough there. The body work ain't enough there to convince me that he can be your top guy. So,
and oft injured as well. I think that's a huge part too.
Exactly. So I think that Ron Hextall is going to be busy looking around for a goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, very soon.
See what's out there.
I will say the one thing I am surprised though, Scotty, is we haven't seen any significant trade activity yet. I mean, it was all hype that, we're going to see a lot of moves, it's going to be the business. And listen, it still could be. This could literally be the calm before the storm, because 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, 3 p.m., 5 p.m., one of those PMs Eastern
5 p.m., I think.
5 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday is the due date for those protected lists to be submitted. So, 3 p.m. Eastern is the trade freeze. The roster freeze goes into effect for everyone but the Golden Knights. So that's almost like a mini trade deadline. So maybe leading into tomorrow and Friday, maybe early Saturday, we might see some movement there.
And I guess that runs till Thursday, I assume?
That runs till the 22nd, which is
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I kept thinking, why do I think it was Wednesday? Because I'm thinking a year behind. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it runs to Thursday. And then all hell could really break loose then.
Oh, for sure. I think that's when you're going to see a lot of people strike.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a lot of speculation too in that whole time frame. And once we see who gets selected by who, or who gets selected by who gets selected by the Golden Knights, I think that's really, that's really going to send everything just going nuts. So
yeah,
could be it better be busy, because I tell you, the way that some folks in the media have played this up, and I'm not just, and I'm including like well-respected insiders, guys like Bob McKenzie, Pierre LeBrun, Elliot Friedman, they have all said, they anticipate that this could be one of the busiest off seasons, or certainly the busiest June in quite some time. So if this turns out to be a dud, well, what are we fans going to do? Well, we'll sit around and bitch about it, but it would be a real disappointment, if we only see just maybe maybe like one big trade and a bunch of small little deals that don't really matter.
Sure. I think we'll see a lot of activity from Vegas, because I think GM kind of wheel and deal.
Well, he's already said. I mean, he can't carry 30 guys. I mean, he
Right.
gets to pick what he's got to pick one from each roster, and he will. Some of those that he picks, maybe he might pick some guys that are on two-way contracts that he can send down to his farm system. But he's already said, he doesn't want to pick guys that he's going to lose to waivers. So you got to figure he's going to hold on to 24. He'll have 6 that are going to be expendable crew members that he's going to be using as trade bait. Definitely one of them would be a goalie. Now, whether it's Marc-Andre Fleury that he picks, or he goes for the younger guys like Grubauer. I suggested Calvin Pickard from Colorado. Antti Ranta is not really a young guy. He's 28, but he's been around a bit. But let's say if he goes for those 3, one of them for sure is going to get flipped. I think one of them is going to get flipped for a draft pick or a prospect. Because he's got to stock up. He's got to stock up.
Oh, for sure. You have to. You kind of
big time. Yeah. I mean, he's sitting good right now. I mean, yeah, you get 6th overall pick, and then he's got the 3rd overall in all the successive rounds. So yeah, you're sitting pretty there. But he doesn't have much of a prospect covered to draw upon right now. So you got to stock that up.
I'm looking at least the 2000 expansion draft.
Mm-hmm.
My God, like the amount of talent that is out there for goaltending, in comparison.
Yeah, let me pull this up. I want to take a look too. 2000 NHL expansion draft.
And I'm looking at 99s too, and I'll flip up 98. So the past 3 expansion drafts, the talent of goaltending, not there. Freddie Chabot has been picked. Was picked 2 out of the 3.
Oh, but Dwayne Rollison in 2000. That was, geez.
But no one thought at that time. Like, he turned into a good talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was
in Buffalo. He was kind of
Yeah, but I mean, Vernon and Tabarachi, they were all past it. Terrari, they were all past it. Defense, Sean O'Donnell, he was still in his prime then. He wasn't bad. Good stay-at-home defenseman there.
Where else is the defense, Lyle?
Philip Kuba. He had some good
there.
years.
Matt Schneider was starting to get in his prime too.
Well, no, he was kind of past it by that point.
Really?
Getting past it.
2000? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I think you're
kind of getting to that peak.
Oh, yeah. Here's a defense. Artem Anisimov, defenseman. But yeah, not the good Artem Anisimov.
Not that one, no.
Not that one. Yeah, boy, not a hell of a whole lot of good stuff in there. So you can understand why they turned around and expanded the rules there, because not very good. Not very good. I don't even want to look at the other ones.
I'm looking at the goaltending for 99.
Okay.
Trevor Kidd, Norm Miracle, Corey Schwab. Those were picked by Atlanta.
Kidder.
And then Ottawa traded Damian Rhodes to them, to the good old Thrashers. And then Trevor Kidd traded to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Kidd was traded to Florida for Gordon Murphy, Daniel Tarnquist, and Herbert Zvachevs.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's that. The 98 Chabot, Mike Dunham. Mike Dunham was starting to hit his peak. Mikhail Stolinkov was picked as a goalie in that draft. Thomas Vokoun.
Was that the Nashville draft?
Yeah, the Nashville draft. They picked 5.
I thought so, because when you said Dunham, I'm like, yeah, I seem to recall that they got Dunham, and he right away helped make them at least reasonably competitive.
And then Vokoun was laying in wait behind him.
Right. Oh, that was such a steal for them. When Montreal lost him, I was just livid.
And of course, their 5th goalie, Mike Richter. They picked Mike Richter. Obviously, it was just maybe he'll do it, and never.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Here's an interesting note. I love these deals that were concession deals. This is a great one. Los Angeles traded Kimmo Timonen and Jan Volpat to Nashville after the Predators agreed not to select Gary Galley.
And Timonen, of course, went on to have a very long career.
Very good career, too.
Very good career, especially with the Preds, and then on with the Flyers, and before wrapping things up with a Stanley Cup championship with the Chicago Blackhawks.
This one's great. Philadelphia traded Dominic Roussel and Jeff Staples to Nashville after the Predators agreed not to select Paul Coffey. This is 98, folks. Paul Coffey was much past his prime.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was no longer the Paul Coffey of Hall of Famer at that
No,
point.
not at all. Also, Eli Afraidy was selected in this draft, so got that going for you.
Hmm.
Was there any? What good deals were made? I don't think there were any good deals post. San Jose traded Jan Calhoun. So the Blue Jackets did not pick Evgeny Malkin, so that's something. Or not Evgeny Malkin, Evgeny Nabokov. Sorry,
Babaka. I was going to say, what? No, yeah.
Also another deal. The Sabres traded Jean-Luc Grandpierre, Matt Davidson, and fifth-round picks. After the Blue Jackets agreed not to select either Hasek or Biron.
So that's what I'm looking forward to is going to be the side deals once everything shakes out from this one. Because there's going to be side deals.
Side deals!
Side deals!
Yeah, it's going to send Dmitry Orlov to the Vegas Golden Knights. That's going to be great. Well, it's gonna be great.
No, Brooks Orpik.
No, he's going to get selected, and selecting him, they get that back end.
Ah, there you go. Well, we'll find out for sure if this, deal whereby the Golden Knights select Trevor Van Riemsdyk from the Blackhawks on the condition that they also acquire Marcus Kruger in a trade.
Could be interesting.
That was reported a couple weeks ago, and by TSN they said it wasn't 100%. It looked like it was close to getting done. So we'll find out for sure if that's going to happen.
Remember, we're going to start a 67-hour coverage after the after the things are unveiled.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be. Don't you dare miss it, folks.
Oh yeah. Oh, so drunk. That's the only way to watch that show, folks. Put your beer goggles on, strap in,
and 8-hour intervals too, because we can only record for up to 8 hours. I'm sure there will be no technical difficulties to screw this whole thing.
None whatsoever.
None technical difficulties that were fake.
And this draft is coming up, and I mean the actual NHL draft is coming up fast. It hit me the other day. I realized, Jesus, that's next weekend. Damn it.
Yeah, no, it's early, much earlier than most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because the Stanley Cup's still not going on. Like that wrapped up pretty early too.
Well, reasonable time. I mean, considering that they gave them, like an extra day off after Game 4, between Games 4 and Games 5 and Game 6, they gave them all an extra day off. It kind of stretched it out a little bit.
We gotta make this. We gotta make this prime time.
But it was good for the players too. Gave them an extra day of rest. That by this point, you need it. Good Lord.
Yeah, exactly. So. Shane Gostisbehere, 6-year extension on his contract. Considering this, he was a lot of things going on around him this year. A lot of weird things going on around Gostisbehere this year.
Yeah, I believe he was nursing an injury there too.
Injury, healthy scratch for a bit too.
Yeah, he seemed to kind of regain his foot. I think a lot of that had to do with the correct me if I'm wrong, hip injury.
I believe it was hip injury. Yeah,
hip surgery. I think is what he had in the off season. Let me just check. Ghost Bear hip.
Also, breaking news: Ray Shero said the Devils will probably hold on to the first overall pick.
Well, I don't blame them. They're not. He's not getting it. The first overall pick has not been traded in 14 years? Was the last time? 2003. Yeah. So, where's the incentive there? I mean, what can you possibly offer Ray Shero to make him part with that pick? I don't think there's anything.
Top line scorer.
Not going to happen.
Alex Ovechkin.
There you go. And yes, Gostisbehere hip surgery last May. So I dare say that's what affected his play. He seemed to come on stronger later in the season after he had all that behind him. So I think we're going to see a much better performance from the Ghost Bear going forward. And yeah, I think that I thought that was a good deal for him. I think what we saw from him in his rookie season, I don't think that was a fluke. I think that's the real deal. And going forward, I mean, a little bit of sophomore slump got to be expected to. Some players go through them, some don't. I mean, and again, having gone through that hip surgery earlier, I mean, that is going to adversely affect you. Some players takes a little longer to recover from that than others. I mean, David Krejci was another one this season, same sort of thing, and he struggled a bit the first half of the season before he kind of found his legs there for with Boston, and then other injuries came along. But yeah, you know, I think that's a good deal for them. You had to figure he was going to be part of their long-term future.
Yeah, you know, like even with everyone else like saying, "Oh, what is Hextall doing? What is Hextall doing? What are the Hacks doing?" You know, you give him this. It's great. Turning back to the Tyler Graovac,
Graovac, I guess. Graovac.
All right. Yeah. So interesting thing is saying that this is a ploy to leave Graovac unprotected, so they can protect Lars Eller.
Yeah. Good move that way too.
I suppose.
You know, and remember, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get selected. You know,
No.
just because you're exposed, don't mean you're going to get picked up. So,
according to Isabel Kurtsedan,
Kurtsudian.
Izzy K.
Izzy K. There we go. Much better.
She said, had the Caps not made this trade, they would have to expose two of Wilson, Eller, and Beagle because of expansion draft rules.
And so there you go. We're seeing the
things being made.
The maneuvers are happening.
Shifting is happening, folks.
Indeed.
Are we surprised that, you know, who? All right, so who of these guys are going to retire? You have to assume Matt Cullen's done.
Oh, yeah, he has to be now. I mean, what, you know, he was talking about it, you know, leading up to Game 6. So, you know, you got to figure this is it for him. He's done now. Good way to go out, though.
Yeah, no, where's worse ways to go out. Mike Fisher.
I think he stays. I think the Preds, David Poile's already indicated that he wants to re-sign him. I think at this stage, you know, given his age, you ink him to a 1-year bonus-laden contract, have him come back for another run, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think he retires. I think he comes back for another run because they were so close this time around, you know. And you got to remember, for him in his career, this is like his second time, you know, second kick at the cat and come up empty-handed. So, you know, yeah, I can definitely see him wanting to come back and try again.
Chris Neil.
I don't think that Neil wants to retire, but I think that decision's going to be made for him. He's going to have a tough time finding it. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I'm not, you know, I don't like to turn around and, you know, and you know, for guys that are kind of long in the tooth that are going to be looking for work, but, you know, he is long in the tooth. I mean, you know, and, you know, his role, you know, the role that he's asked to play, I mean, that's been changing now. And I mean, he's in his late 30s. You know, if he was 27, you know, or even 32, I'd say, you know, I would say, yeah, he'll get picked up by somebody else. But this time around, I don't think so. I think that retirement is going to be thrust upon him.
Shane Doan.
Interestingly, there was a report came out of Arizona today claiming that he's leaning towards returning for another year.
Is that a good idea or bad idea?
Oh man, he has taken such a risk doing this because I mean his play really declined last season. It was really noticeable. But yet the year before he had a 20, you know, he'd had another 20-goal performance. So I suppose, listen, you know, it's no harm if you want to come back and try again one more season. I don't think that the Coyotes are going to push him away if he wants to come back for one more year in that leadership role because it's still a young team they've got there predominantly. But boy, it comes with risk because, you know, you come back and if you're just, you know, by this point, if you become nothing more than a fourth line plugger and you're becoming a healthy scratch, I mean, you know, how many times have we seen it? You know, a once great player hangs on just 1 year too long and is a shell of themselves. So that's the risk Stone's taking. But hey, you know, if he feel, you know, listen, he's earned that right too. If he feels that he has one more good season left in him, well, we'll see.
Joe McGinley.
I think it's retirement for Iggy.
Done deal.
Yeah, it's I just don't see another club looking at picking him up. You know, I mean, he's always been a slow start. Even in his prime, he was always a slow starter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, December is when he kicked in.
Yeah, exactly. You know, But I mean, he's 40 now, and you know, we saw it last year. We saw it the last year, but we really saw it last year. Now, he did seem a bit more rejuvenated when he joined the Kings, but can you really count on that for an entire season at his age? Man, I don't know.
That's a really big risk.
I don't know. Again, I mean, I'm sure that he's going to want to just wait and see if there's any decent offers come his way. If he gets some, then sure, he could come back. This, again, could be one of those ones where it's kind of thrust upon him, but I really think that he retires.
Soupy Campbell.
No, I think he's back.
Yeah,
he had a decent season last year. So I think he comes back. I think he's back.
That's fair.
Yep.
Any other big retirement? Because we're getting to the point where guys can just retire because there's no one that wants them.
Well, kind of a lesser light there. Kevin Klein of the New York Rangers is apparently a report today in the New York Post, citing sources saying that he's leaning toward retirement, retiring from the NHL, but he wouldn't end his playing career. He would go over to Europe to play. Yeah, he's been bothered by back injuries the last couple of seasons. It really affected his play, and so yeah, it looks like rather than play out the string, he could be looking at retiring and heading overseas.
Who's the number one unrestricted free agent we should be looking at this summer?
It's not really a very deep market. It's still your top four guys. Would be, well, obviously Shattenkirk.
Yeah,
Shattenkirk still he's the best puck moving defenseman out there. So there's going to be a lot of interest in him. Excuse me for coughing in your ear. I'm old and Airwolves after me. But yeah, Shattenkirk. TJ Oshie is the top forward. Alex Radulov, if he does not re-sign with the Habs, but I don't think that's going to happen. It sounds like it's looking like maybe a 5-year deal for him between 6 and 6.5 mil. That was the recent thing that I saw coming out of Montreal. So they could be looking at for him. So he could be off the market. But if that falls through, well, then you figure Radulov's going to be right up there, top 3. Could be some interest in Joe Thornton if the Sharks don't keep him, but I think the Sharks are keeping him. Carl Alzner, obviously, there'll be interest in him. There'll be some interest in Justin Williams. So
basically most of the Caps.
Well, that's the way it worked out this year, but seriously, I mean, you've got 3 or 4 quality guys all coming from one team. And I do think the Caps are going to re-sign Oshie. I got to say, I will be surprised if they don't. Oh, yeah. Oshie's the guy. They really want to keep him.
And I think a lot of it has to do with him saying that he doesn't like change that much, and he likes where he's at now. And it seems that and that's good. I'm so glad.
Well, on and off the ice, because on the ice, he's skating with Backstrom and Ovechkin, so he's got terrific chemistry with those guys. So that's a good place to be professionally, and his family's settled in quite happily, in the local area there. So yeah, if he wants to stay. Of course you're going to try to do. Now they're going to have to pay him fair to do that. If you're looking for a hometown discount, well, don't get your hopes up very much. But I think it's going to cost probably $6 million a season to keep him. But he's 30 years old, so I would be surprised if he gets a deal beyond 5. But I could see something in that neighborhood of 6.2 million to keep him.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Who's the top goalie? I don't see any goalies at all.
There really isn't. This year's market. The 2 best ones are gone. Ben Bishop and Scott Darling. They're gone. So that does leave what you've got. There's Brian Elliott kicking around there, but after the horrible season he had this past year with Calgary, his stock really went down. Steve Mason, he's got experience and he's put up good numbers, but the last 2 seasons have been really up and down for him. So teams are kind of taking a chance if you're going with him, and beyond those 2 guys, it kind of drops out in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nothing. There's just
it isn't a good market. The free agent market hasn't really been good in a long time because so many teams just keep re-signing their key players. They don't let these guys go. So when it comes time, you've got, very, very few. I mean, last year, at least we had Stamkos's name in there, and that went right up to the last minute, or almost the last minute.
Close to the last minute. Close enough to make people scared.
Close enough that it made things interesting. I mean, remember up until, a few days before. I remember when we were leaving Buffalo from the draft last year, and the word that came out of Tampa Bay was it's not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the official word. It's not looking good, And right away, that everybody's scrambling. Oh, he could be going to Toronto. He could be going to Buffalo for God knows why. Nothing to do with the city. Not because of the city. Love you, Buffalo. Seriously, love you.
Kind of apocalyptic.
And in a charming way.
Yeah, I guess.
It had its charm. I liked Buffalo. I did. But anyway, it's no Quebec City with all the, cool stuff. But hey, it had its charm. But anyway, but last year at least we had Stamkos's name in there, and for a little while we had Lucic's name in there too. I mean, we had some names, and this year it's definitely second string talent. That's for sure. I mean, Joe Thornton, yeah, still a name, I guess. But first of all, again, I'll be very surprised if he leaves. And he's at the stage in his career now where he can't be your first line guy.
Yeah. Not at all. And
wherever he goes after this is good. If he leaves San Jose, you got to figure he very quickly will be a second. Now, a good second pairing center, second line center. But I don't think he got the goods to, at his age, 37. Sorry, I don't think that he can be a first line center again.
No, heavens no.
Yeah.
What else we got? What are we doing? What are we doing here? What do we got? We got the expansion. Expansion draft's going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Expansion draft is the thing of the hour.
Yes, the thing of the hour.
76 hours to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, listen, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of team Vegas has. I mean, it's not a lot of great talent, but this draft, at least the rules are made so that at least they'll have some better talent compared to some of those other teams that we recently looked at earlier in the show. They're going to get some good players. You got to, you got to figure you're going to have at least a couple of good defensemen in there, good young defensemen. You could probably grab yourself a couple of good young forward. I would really watch Columbus, by the way, out of all of this. Josh Anderson could be a guy that they lose. And now they're going to try and do everything they can to prevent that from happening, because listen, Josh Anderson, rookie this season. Now, of course, he got overshadowed because, of course, we had a lot of great rookies this season. But Josh Anderson had 17 goals and 30 some odd assists. That was a decent debut for a rookie, and they're very high on this kid. They see him as only getting better, and they really don't want to lose him. Ryan Pulock with the Islanders, another good promising young defenseman. He could be left unprotected, and you got to figure if he's left unprotected, now I could see McPhee grabbing him. Definitely grabbing him. A promising young defenseman, give the kid a chance up in the bigs, definitely. So yeah, those would be a couple of ones that I would really kind of keep an eye on. If you're an Islanders fan or a Blue Jackets fan, keep an eye on those two guys, because they might be wearing, Golden Knight sweaters when, by the time June 21st is done. And can I just say, by the way, that is so lame that they're going to be revealing the roster for the Golden Knights during the awards.
It's pretty terrible.
Unless the only saving grace for it is unless we are not going to have a whole bunch of cheesy acts and dumb, lame attempts at comedy by whoever the no-name host is. I don't even know who.
Manganello.
He's
a werewolf.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine.
It was a great Macho Man impression. I know that.
Well, good for him. And well, now that's good for him. But yeah, dig it. But anyway, yeah, mine's a bit rough.
Yeah,
but anyway,
okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wrote about this crap about the
I know.
Why are you taking away? Like, why? Like, hell, Columbus and Minnesota got a backroom billboard kind of thing. And they have little placard boards and stuff like that. Maybe that's the reason why they can't project anything on any kind of screen. So they're just like, all right, well, we have to do it together during the show where we have audio and visual.
I just, like I
So
said, I mean, the only way that would be a saving grace is if it saves us like dumbass musical acts and, and as I said, lame attempts at sketch comedy and things like that. It's because the NHL award, can I just say the NHL award has to be the most painful award show I have ever watched. The most painful.
can I tell you that there's a worst? There's a worse
Oh, please, if there's a worst, I do want to know about it.
NASCAR.
Oh, I could so see that being
Because
the case.
there's no awards given out.
Yeah.
All the standings are done.
Yeah.
The 12 people are or whoever, I think it's top 10 speak, and Jay Moore is your host. Though I like Jay Moore a little bit, but Jay Moore working to a crowd of people who don't understand his comedy, that's kind of hard.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, just you hand out the awards. Why do you got to do this glitz and glam? If you insist on doing the show, then why not do like a really cool highlights package or something?
Sure.
Have like a kind of a best, like have here's our best plays of the years, here's our funniest plays of the years. I mean, come on. Oh, we can't do funniest plays. Some of these guys don't want to be embarrassed. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Pretty much.
But no, but I mean, God, it is so painful to have to sit through that show. And because I do this for a living, I have no choice. I have to sit through the train wreck every damn year. And it's just, the only thing that was the same, I remember watching the one a couple of years ago, and that was the one where the Senators honored the young man who had that they called the butterfly boy, who had that rare skin condition, who actually, by the way, went through surgeries, just came out of surgeries, I guess, a couple of weeks ago for his condition. I guess he's made some significant progress. So, I mean, hey, all the best. His name eludes me for the moment, and I'm sorry for that. But I just remember when they brought him out 2 years ago, the Senators, to honor him. And that was the only moment where that show redeemed itself. Because I remember we were all following it on Twitter and we're all saying rude things. And then this kid comes in and they tell his story. And all of us are kind of, like on Twitter, the whole reaction is, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah.
Because it was so moving and such a touching story. And like, give us more of that. Give us something that actually make us care about the fans and the different people who go through this sort of thing. Stop with the cheesy attempts at comedy. Stop with the live bands. That
no,
half
Shaka Khan though. No, we got to get Shaka Khan out on stage. Lyle.
Oh my God, it's just sad. It's so painful to watch that. It really is. You just hate it so much. Hate the NHL award. Damn you, NHL award show. When I was a kid, the NHL awards, they just gave them out, and that was it. Anyway.
Exactly. That was that. Just don't have it televised anything.
I wish they would let Ron MacLean. I'm to the point I would love to have them bring Ron MacLean back as the host. Ron MacLean used to host it for years, and they used to hold the awards in Toronto. And we all said rude things about him then. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, please come back, Ron. All is forgiven. Yeah. Ron MacLean is a nice man. It's just, he just does two things that really bug me. One is his puns.
I love that about him.
Ugh. Sometimes they're good. Most of the time, I'm just like, oh, please stop. But what I really hate is when he at the top of the show as they're leading into the game, and he'll quote some song lyrics as if to make them profound, and half the time the lyrics have nothing to do with what is about to go down in this game.
No, it's fine though.
And it's just like,
it's fine.
Those are lyrics for a love song. What the hell does this have to do with these two teams battling out in Game 7 of the conference final? You idiot! What are you doing?
It's fantastic.
Other than that, listen. Hey, I mean, he's still, I think, a very good host.
Sure.
Hockey Night in Canada. He's got the gravitas for doing that. So
the gravitas.
Jays.
The Golden Knights will debut in Vancouver. This coming out today, September 17th, preseason first game against the Vancouver Canucks. They will then play the Avalanche, the Sharks, and Ducks, and they'll make their home debut in the preseason the 26th. So there is that. 3 players on the roster so far for your Golden Knights: Reed Duke,
Yes.
Vladim Shipachyov, and something called a Thomas Haika.
And out of those 3, Shipachyov is the only one that I see having a better than average chance. In fact, I'd say he's almost damn sure pretty much a lock to be in your opening night roster, because he would not have come over and signed if he did not have a chance to play in the big league.
Yeah.
Not taught in the AHL. By the way, hat tip to the Grand Rapids Griffins for winning the Calder Cup. That should give Red Wings fans some hope. Anyway, there could be some help coming from the farm.
With the way they run their program, I doubt it though, because they'll keep those kids down there another year.
Oh, for another year? Yeah. Well, not right away, but listen. There's a lot to be said for them not rushing these kids. Like, you have to have one who is really something special, like Dylan Larkin was.
Yes.
2 years ago to crack the lid. But it works to their advantage. I mean, remember Anthony Mantha a couple of years ago, there were real concerns. They had real concerns about him. So they kept him there for another year, and then he came in during this season, and he was one of the few bright spots for the Wings this year. So
I was trying to get Jen in here, but she's busy, so I found something.
Tell her I said hi.
Yeah, absolutely. I would, and we'll probably talk about this in the Soda Shrimp Bowl, because we're doing expansion draft and draft coverage all this week. Don't you dare miss it.
Don't miss it, kids.
NHL.com put out an article. Chris Creamer put this out.
Okie dokie.
So it's quality. Because I love me some Chris Creamer and his sportslogos.net. The most iconic logos of all time through the 100 years.
That would be interesting.
The first one they show off here, the original Hartford Whalers.
I can get behind that, definitely.
Without the gray in the middle, so just the blue tail and the green thingy do.
That does the HW.
There's the H-dubs. So there's that. Next one, the Minnesota Wild.
What?
This is not in order, by the way. I'm just going to say this right now. There's no numerical order.
But even
in
so,
general, yeah.
But even so, the Wild. If the North Stars logo is not there, I will be so disappointed.
Oh, you're going to be disappointed then.
Oh, for God's sake!
Spoilers.
That sucks ass.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry, but
the Toronto Maple Leafs 1938 to 39 to 66-67, and kind of redone for this year. So the actual leaf-looking leaf.
Yeah.
So that's another one. The Red Wings logo from 32-33 to 48-49, shortened wing, big wheel short wing. That's one there. Chicago Blackhawks,
of course.
That's one there. This is an interesting one. The Hamilton Tigers. The Hamilton Tigers, big tiger logo.
Let me pull that one up. Hamilton Tigers.
You gotta make sure you put hockey too. If not,
Hamilton Tigers. Yeah, Hamilton Tigers NHL. Hey, I like that.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I like that.
The next one, the skating penguin of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'd say that's as much as I hate him, that's iconic.
That is.
The Colorado Rockies.
Ooh, yeah, I like that one. I really like that one. Yeah.
The Montreal Canadiens from 1917 to basically the 1917, the C and the H. Yeah. The one they show is this.
The classic CH.
Yeah.
For center ice. Yes.
The Buffalo Sabres, the original one, 70 to 1970.
If you said Buffa Slug, I was walking out, my friend.
To be fair, that is iconic, but not in the correct way.
Yeah, iconic as in an oh my god, what the fuck is that kind of way.
What happened?
Yeah.
Quebec Nordiques.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Another interesting one, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ooh, let me pull that one up.
It's an interesting one.
That one up. Not Hamilton Pirates. Okay.
The 1929-30.
Pirates.
Again, make sure you put hockey.
Yeah, you got to put NHL. You mean Pittsburgh Pirates? Yes. Oh, hey, yeah, with the kind of like crooked P with the piping through it.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Well,
Well,
I
no,
like
they showed the one with the pirate, the actual pirate. It's just a pirate.
Oh no, I was
Not the
okay.
actual P.
Well,
'Cause I know the one you're
because
talking about.
I do like that. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, that's pretty good too. Somebody did one up as a Crosby jersey. But,
Yeah, that's of course they did.
yeah, but see, that's too. Yeah, but that's too much to the too close to the MLB.
Buccaneers. It's too close to the Buccaneers logo too.
Yeah, yeah. I much prefer the one with that
Yeah.
P that's just kind of canted to the side and you get the piping through it. I like that. It's simple, but it's stylish at the same time.
Simple, but it works. The Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Yes, indeed.
The Christmas colors of the New Jersey Devils. The green and red.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic enough. The original San Jose Sharks.
Yeah. Well, anything with that
90s.
with the shark chomping on the stick. I mean, that to me is iconic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that was during the teal revolution in sport too.
Oh yeah, and listen, they wear it well to this day. They do.
They do. They modernize it a little bit, but
but otherwise, yep. As long as they just don't turn around and just go to black like so many of them tend to do.
Yeah.
Black and silver. We'll go with black. Yeah.
And then finally, the Vancouver Canucks stick and rink.
Yes, I was so glad when they brought that one back. That was the one I remember from when I was a kid in the 70s. I really, really liked that one. It was so cleverly done. And then they turned around and went to that. My God, that where Bozo the Clown dressed them. And
While the Flying V is the greatest jersey of all time.
Oh man, that is that is just an explosion of god awful colors.
An explosion of taste and colors. Like
that
feel
that is a prime example of why you do not let the owner's wife design the jerseys.
No, that is
true story behind that, kids. Though they did, like I said, I do like kind of the Orca effect too, and that was anything was better than the god awful hideous colors with the V. And the skate one with the Canucks and the skate logo, that was okay too.
The pop-up beret kind of Trevor Linden situation.
Yeah, that was okay. But I always was a fan of the stick and rink that gives it that C for Canucks. Yeah. I always enjoyed that. I was glad they brought that back.
So those are your 16 logos at Chris Creamer sportslogos.net.
The only one the only one I disagree with is, like I said, the Wild one. Should have been North Stars.
The reason for the Wild, he says, the return of the NHL to Minnesota brought it a new name and interesting logo. Depending on how you look at it, the Wild logo is either a look outside of forest in Minnesota, featuring a row of pine trees with a winding river and a shooting star, and the sun setting against the red sky, or it's a profile of the head of an animal. Some say bear, but it's actually meant to be a generic wild animal with an eye and a mouth. Ears, nose, all shown. So I think it's just because of the fact that it serves a dual purpose.
No, I still don't like it.
I can see where it serves a dual
purpose. I much prefer the North Star.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they rock those green jerseys really well.
They do.
Oh man. Oh, when I saw that one in Buffalo, I came so close to buying that one. I know.
You should have, but now you wouldn't have been able to get home.
Well, that was the thing. I wouldn't have been able to afford the money to pay my rental car on that. That one.
Sure.
Yeah. Wasn't that bad, but here I am. I'm so bad when I go shop because I'll talk myself into buying shit. But yeah, here I was shopping with Johnny because we were all in the gift shop there, and I was the one who talked him into buying the Hasek jersey. He wasn't going to buy it. He was doing what I would normally do. I just turn around and I was the one saying, "No, you got to buy it. You got to buy it." But now, see, if he had turned around and done that with me, with either the that North Stars jersey, because that was a Modano one with the North Star, or the Whalers one, and I can't remember, that wasn't a Howe Whalers one, but I think it was a Ronnie Francis. But anyway, if he had done the same thing to me, I would have turned around and bought at least one of those ones. If he had done the same thing to me, if he had said, "Oh, come on, Lyle, I bought the Hasek one. You got to buy this. Come on," but he didn't.
Here's an interesting one, Lyle, and we don't have enough time for it. So I'll get your initial reactions.
Okay.
USA Hockey just came out of their yearly meetings and have some rule changes.
Okay.
Obviously, one of them is all face-offs will occur at one of the 9 dots on the ice, something the NHL did years ago. So you don't have that weird face-off, whatever. They talk about racial and ethnic slurs include any language that is offensive or hateful and derogatory in nature. That's obvious why that wasn't in place before. Whatever. Here's an interesting one. At the Bantam, U14, and below age categories. All right, so 14 and under, and every rung below that. A shorthanded team is no longer permitted to ice the puck without a consequence. The consequence is that such a situation will now result in an icing call by the officials, and the resulting faceoff will occur in the offending team's defensive zone, similar to when both teams are at equal strength.
So wait a minute, you can't just so if they're shorthanded, they can't shoot the puck down the ice.
Yes,
to kill the penalty.
Yes, and this is 14 and under.
Oh, I really disagree with that.
Interesting.
Geez. Well, it is interesting, but
and this is going to continue for the next 4 years.
What's the point of it, though?
I assume to promote more stick handling. I don't know. Like
you got to give me a good reason for that one.
They don't give a good reason for that.
Because otherwise, what's the point? I mean, are the kids going to have to try to skate it out of their zone if they're killing a penalty, or are they trying to make it so that they instead of blasting it down the ice, that they just try and sort of flip it out to half ice? Is that what they're trying to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just one of those things where it's more of a skill situation than anything else. I find it quite interesting.
Well, it's like I said, I would, while I say I don't like it, I would like to at least, hear what the reasoning is, the rationale is. Maybe that's something we can follow up on next week if you think of it.
Yeah,
are we doing a show next Wednesday?
We will. I'll be in Chicago at that point, so I will be already in tow, ready to go, and I'll probably be burnt from the Cubs game. So I'll have exciting news on that. But yeah, we'll talk more about this later if we remember.
Yeah, if we can follow up on it, that'd be something, because I would be interested to hear the rationale behind it. If there's a good reason behind it, well, of course, I'm not so much a traditionalist that I would say no, but it would encourage this, encourage that. No, we've always done it this way. No. If there's a good reason for it, that it's going to improve a skill level or something like that, okay, well, let's hear it and let's see it. But if they're doing it just cause, well, then sorry, no, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yep. We'll talk about that next week. All right. Apparently, Jed Ortmeyer, Steve Eminger, and Bren Prissett joined the Rangers organization. So you got that going for you, kids.
There you go, Rangers.
All right, Lyle. Thank you. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
Glad I could pitch in. Well, listen. Next, if this, and just for future reference, if this happens again, listen, I'm on my phone, I'm on my tablet. Shoot me an email, and I can jump in earlier if you'd like. If this happens again,
we'll get you there. We'll also get you pre-fight coverage of Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We're doing a 7-month coverage.
That's gonna be, how one-sided is that gonna be?
I will be quite. If anything else, it'll get people to watch.
Yeah. I just think Mayweather's going to win it. Sorry, I do.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you on that.
But
all right. Well, Lyle, we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Listen, safe trip for you and Jen, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday, and we'll see how things shake out from there.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Take care.
Okay. Take care, bud.
See ya. There you go. Lyle Richardson, SpectresHockey.net, thehockeynews.com, PI Guardian, and Bleacher Report for the slideshows, which he has up there now. So shout outs. I will give a shout out to you listening, watching, learning. Shout out to Lyle for the big save there. Shout out to diecast NASCAR cars with hockey themes on them. Got another one. Go on the Twitter at Scotty Waz. Check that out. Shout out to Mortgage, just working all the time. Not working for the weekend because there is no such thing, but it should be fun. Next week, I will be joining you live from Chicago. All things considered, hopefully we'll get there in one piece. So it'll be a fun time with that. And the returns of the Batonzos, hopefully. That'll be good. And that's it. That's all for me. Take care of yourself and someone else. This has been Face Off Hockey Show on faceoffhockeyshow.com. That's also our Tumblr, Face Off HCKY Show on Twitter, and FOHS Radio on the Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for enjoying my ramblings for the past few bits. And until next week, peace.